it's a bad signal for any buyer to come across you and your last post to be like 6 months ago or even 6 weeks ago. Like there's a different use and a different function of social media that plays a part into the buyer journey. If they see you actively engaged, if they see pictures of your work, if they see testimonials, if they see you doing fun, cool things, that adds to that bond and that trust in you. Welcome to the Maven Marketing Podcast. Today is Maven Monday. I'm your host, Brandon Welch, and I'm joined by Caleb Skinny Stand Agee.
What?
We had a equipment malfunction moments ago.
Yeah.
We lost a Gator Frameworks
My microphone stand.
boom to gravity.
Yeah.
It gave out.
They gave out.
It went kaput, and now Caleb's got a tiny mic stand.
It's just a theory, but gravity shows up again.
It's not the size of the stand, it's how you use it.
Mm-hmm.
Today, we are doing what we do every day, every week here on the Maven Marketing Podcast, helping you eliminate waste in advertising, growing your business so you can achieve the big dream. And I am back. Caleb held down the fort with many distinguished guests amongst the Frank and Maven team. Thank you.
Yeah.
Put out some wonderful, wonderful
Happy to
stuff.
help. It's fun to do.
Yes.
Your chair's it's a good chair over there.
Yes.
The left side's all right.
Oh, do we get your other side?
Yeah.
We did.
You get to see my other side. So.
Okay. Well, we're going to go to the other side of marketing today and talk about social media. And I probably since the beginning of my career, this has kind of been a thought with the idea of social media posting. Where does it belong in the mix? How powerful is it? Can I grow my business with just organic social media posting?
Mm-hmm.
And I think we all know now that, paid social media is way more of a thing than it was 5-10 years ago for a local business. It's been that way for online for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But we've had some recent good questions about, can I replace part of my paid strategy with social media?
Organic
like just
posting.
Quote unquote free media. And
Yeah.
So we're going to break down 2 case studies of where that may or may not be a good idea. And the big idea around anything when we're talking about media and advertising in general, the thing that levels everything is how many people am I reaching and how much do I have to pay to reach those people?
That's right.
So let's not get into opinions about what you do or maybe what I do as a human being walking around, what we think the world is doing. It's not about, who is doing what necessarily as much as it is the objective truth about if you wish to bond people to your business so that they one day transact with you, how many people are you reaching to do that with your message, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's good to also keep in mind something Carter and I did an episode on, I don't know how many months ago, but it was about reaching your organic audience on social medias and how much those algorithms have changed. We're not going to talk about that much today. We're going to look at just the base numbers, but these numbers are reflective of how often your posts as a business actually end up in people's feeds. And so just keep that in mind. Go listen to that episode. We'll link to it in the notes.
Right about now, Nate just popped that episode up on the screen. You can click it if you are interested in just the state of social media.
If we were really cool, we could point to,
we'd go pop.
Yeah, it's somewhere.
I think Nate just did that.
It happened.
In the future, he did it. So we're going to keep in mind, it's not about what media is quote unquote the best, because at the end of the day, media is mostly just a vehicle to deliver your message.
Yeah.
And the degree of impact relies mostly on how many people you're reaching, right? Mm-hmm. There's some other nuances later, but we're not going to go into those weeds. Let's just break it down to full on, like how many people saw my message.
Yep.
And so let's compare what it would take in a social organic posting manner to reach as many people as other advertising platforms.
Yeah.
And what we may find is that we can do it cheaper doing that, or we may find that we can't. So 2 case studies. We pulled these from real live consults we're doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
One is a home improvement company. Actually, that's the second one. The first one is a enthusiast brand. We're just going to call them an enthusiast retailer. They have a product that reaches people that have a really strong affinity for this.
They're selling across the country, across the world in some cases, probably.
Yes. When we're talking about how many people are we reaching, in traditional media, we measure that with the rating companies like Nielsen, You've probably heard of that. What's the Nielsen rating? That's the companies that go out and scientifically measure how many people watched at any given hour a day on any given station. And so they come back with reports that say, hey, this is where people, if they're watching TV, this is where they're watching, and this is how many people are watching at any given time. Okay. And with print, there's other surveys and ways they measure that audience.
Circulation and all of that.
Yep. With billboards, there's other ways to measure that by like how many traffic, cars drive by that billboard or whatever. Okay. Online, of course, it's measured digitally. Like the ad server just says, I showed this ad this many times on this many pages. And so that's just a foundational thing to say there are ways of measuring objectively what each of these medias do. And each time somebody sees your message, we're calling that one impression. If you've been in advertising sales or if you've been sold advertising for any amount of time, you've heard the word impression.
Yeah.
And just to clear out any jargon or confusion, when we say impression, that just means somebody saw your ad.
Yep.
Or heard it if it's radio, right?
A set of eyeballs.
Set of eyeballs or a set of ears or maybe both. But we're not going to go into which one of those is better, visual or audio. We're just going to go into sheer reach, just for a baseline comparison. So that's one impression. And a very common ratio you can use to compare one media versus the other is called cost per 1,000 impressions. You might have heard the term CPM.
Yep.
They call it CPM because somebody who was
Latin
inventing that term used a Latin M is milli. Yeah.
Yep.
Cost per milli
1,000.
impressions. Okay.
Yep.
But we won't go into that. Just you need to know that the common way to measure that is how much did it cost me to reach 1,000 people, or realistically, what that actually means is how much did it cost me for my ad to be seen by 1,000 times? Okay?
Yeah. And we're about to show you this, but this is the great leveler for all medias.
Yes.
When you are looking at digital, print, TV, radio, social, paid social, all of these can be leveled with CPMs.
Yes. And you can say, just out in the wild, like, what's the most efficient media? You want to ask that person selling you the media, or look in the ad dashboard if you're talking about like Facebook and say cost per 1,000. CPM is a measure, is like a reportable number that any platform or ad rep should be able to give to you.
That's right.
So it's like the gas mileage of your media.
Love
Some medias are big, trucks that aren't efficient. Some medias are Priuses and they go a long ways on a little bit of gas.
Yeah.
Okay. So, a lot of media that we talk about on this show is in the category of what we call tomorrow media, because for most of the companies that we've grown to big amounts, we're building brands for them. We're building a bond and a familiarity with them. Familiarity, I did it.
You got
Came
it.
out. It almost crashed and burned, but familiarity with them with thousands and thousands and thousands of people. Okay, so we tend to lean into medias that are really good at reaching lots of people, and I'm just going to give you some of those. We're going to use CPM as the measurement of sort of their gas mileage, if you will. So, broadcast TV today in most markets, on like local news and things like that, you're paying on average $5 to $10 per 1,000 times your ad was seen. Okay. Average local radio station is more like $10 to $20 per 1,000 times your ad was heard or seen. Average billboard is actually more like 3 to 8 in a high traffic area.
Yep.
Magazines tend to be 20 to 60. If it's a really specialized magazine, it might be higher than that. If it's a more of a broad magazine that gets a lot of print, a lot of copies circulation. Thank you. It could be a little lower than that, but 20 to 60. Localized Facebook campaigns typically are $20 to $30 ish if you were paying Facebook to spread them out. Now,
with a higher targeting on it.
For the sake of owner-operated companies who are listening right now, right?
Yep.
If you're doing Facebook nationally, it can get more efficient than that, but there's nuances to that. So just giving you some ranges for a comparison. YouTube can be as low as $10. We've actually seen some really good efficiency in YouTube lately. I think if you are not skilled in that platform, you could probably expect more like 20 to 30. But I just gave you a range of like broadly what efficient factors are involved in each medias. Okay.
Yep.
Generally, the more targeted you go, the more more parameters you put on. I want to reach very, very specific people. The smaller that audience is, and therefore the the more expensive that platform is. So
Yep.
like OTT or Hulu, or a lot of people that say, I only watch TV online. Those are really small audiences comparatively still. One day they may not be. Right now they are.
Yeah.
And those are more like $40 per thousand to, I've seen as high as 70 or 80 per thousand to reach those audiences.
Yes.
The most expensive CPM I'm aware of that we actually do use, but it's very, very, very expensive is what?
It's Google ads, Google search ads.
Search ads, yeah.
Yeah.
The smallest amount of people, the smallest audience is the people looking for you right now.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's that big expensive truck that gets like 4 miles a gallon, but it has a very specific use.
Yes.
And in this case, we use Google search for today customers.
Yes.
Which is why we're willing to pay a premium, because you're catching somebody right at the finish line.
Right.
You are always going to pay more to catch them right at the end.
Yes.
You'll pay a much less. You heard all those other numbers that are a lot smaller when you're talking to them long before the sale.
An average CPM for our search campaigns is like $500 plus. Like it's high. Okay. So point is, you're not reaching a lot of people on those areas, but they may be higher value people. Okay. But when it comes to replacing your ad spend with free social media, okay, that's the question being asked. We have to ask again, how many people are we reaching and what are we paying to produce that content that reaches them, right?
Yep. And a lot of times the production of that content happens in different ways, right? You might have in-house people. You might have a social media person in your building, or a couple or something like that.
It might be your time.
It might be you, the owner, the marketing director. It might be also you might be outsourcing it.
An agency,
freelance
or
person,
a college kid, or whatever you're paying $500 a month to, or whatever to make your stuff. So there is a cost to doing it, at least in the time factor. Okay. If you are a person who's prolific and can just entertain and immediately create content without a whole lot of thought, congratulations, you're a very, very, very rare person, and you might be able to leverage it better than a company who doesn't have that skill set.
That's right.
I think it goes without saying, but Facebook we're using Facebook, but we're putting Instagram and TikTok and any of the other platforms in that realm. They only show your ad to lots and lots of people if they deem it to be entertaining and what we call, viral, has a viral nature to it. It's going to be more than just about your business. You're going to be in demand enough that people want to actually naturally watch it.
Yep. So they test it a little bit in a few people's feed. And if those people engage with it, watch it, click on it, whatever that looks like, Facebook goes, oh, this seems like a good piece of content. And they're going to put it in a few more. And then that's when that virality starts stacking. And all of this happens in real time over the course of the first 20, 30 minutes that your post goes out.
We have a client that just is naturally and hilariously just present all the time. He's funny. You put a camera in front of him and he's going to be funny. Okay. His stuff gets hundreds and hundreds of thousands of views without a whole lot of steam. Just by simply being himself. Okay. But I will say he's actually not talking about the product at all. And it's in very few people's interest to sit and listen to your product pitch. Okay.
That's right.
So, Roy said it best, I think, when he said, advertising is a tax we pay for not being remarkable. So step one, you have to be remarkable, but let's just assume you have that factor.
You have great content.
You can produce it. Let's look at some real numbers here. So case study going, enthusiast brand with an in-house team. So let's say you're a brand that people naturally want to follow and they like the product, and you're producing content that like serves a lifestyle. Maybe not a service business or like a commoditized type business. Think outdoor gear. Think, maybe a specific type of automobile or recreational thing, or maybe a music store or some sort of lifestyle hobby-based thing. That's the realm of what we're talking about here.
Yeah. So this company has a larger footprint, larger organization.
Yes.
They've actually got 2 people producing content.
Yes.
In-house.
Full time. Salaries to boot,
and
all that
they're working. They're posting probably almost daily, if not daily. And
with both videos and graphics.
Graphics, and I think they even have like a little show, right, that they're producing on the regular. So we're talking about lots of content.
Kind of like the Maven Marketing Podcast.
Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could talk about that.
So they're doing it to a high level, okay?
Yes. And
the question posed to us was like, hey, with what I'm paying this team to do this, couldn't I just buy a bunch of ads?
Mm-hmm.
And couldn't I maybe reduce my overhead and then produce, either reduce my overhead or should I spend more money or should I produce more content was actually the real question.
Yep.
Should I stop doing this content because it's costing me a lot? That's actually the question that was posed. And so we said, okay, about how many times were your posts and videos and stuff seen in the last year?
Yep. Impressions.
Which is an impression, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they calculated a few things and it was around about 8 million impressions. Isn't that wild?
It's a lot of impressions.
That's a lot.
That is a lot.
And so you might be asking, how do you know it's a lot? Well, we say, what would we have to pay for that if we weren't remarkable, if we didn't have this team? What would we have to pay for that in the real world? Let's just say if we did it on TV or with paid YouTube ads or with paid Facebook ads or some sort of other media, right?
Yep.
If we weren't reaching 8 million people by our remarkable content, how else would we do it? Because you can imagine reaching somebody, your stuff being seen 8 million times, that's going to have a business effect.
Yeah.
Right? That's
for sure.
That's no small piece of noise you're making there. So we use the average, like a low average. We're being very generous and conservative, just to say if you were paying $10 cost per thousand across your entire ad budget to get 8 million impressions, and there's a little tool that's about to pop up now, and you can click this and do this with your own media. You could go to your social posting dashboard and look at the last year or the last 30 days and say about how many people are my posts reaching, okay? We said if you were reaching 8 million people in the real market to do that with advertising, you would pay at least $80,000 to make that happen.
Yeah. We took a $10 CPM just for ease of the numbers. You're listening to this right now, so we didn't want to make it hard on you. But a $10 CPM, 8 million impressions, that's $80,000.
Yes.
To
80,
reproduce that.
Yes.
With an ad budget.
The little link we put up will make that really, really plain and easy for you. But you got 8 million impressions, $80,000. If you got 1 million impressions, that'd probably cost you $10,000 to recreate, right? So just use that basic math, okay? So turns out, just by way of their salaries and overhead, they were paying in the neighborhood of $80,000 for this team, and we were like, dude, you're getting your money's worth.
Yeah.
Just on not to mention that these team members do a lot of extra stuff for them.
Sure.
And there's a lot of value to having a team that can, produce multimedia, and they do other stuff that helps them in the marketing arena and the sales arena for their business. But we're going just on the media value alone. That's a worthwhile investment.
It's worthwhile. Yeah. Probably creates a little more variety of content and all of that.
Yes.
And the evergreen quality of that is powerful.
So things to know. In that case, we're like, please don't try to replace that with media. Like if you can keep that going, good on you. A couple things to know though. They are remarkable at it. It has taken them 2 or 3 years to get as good as they are at it. They do trials and errors. They sometimes spend a lot of hours on stuff that doesn't work, but they show up every single day and they produce stuff, and they're just building a snowball, right? So their stuff is reaching, at any given point, might be reaching 10,000 people just because Facebook says that's remarkable content or YouTube says that's remarkable content, right?
Yep.
So how we got there, so we added up all the times that their social posts were seen. We divided that by an average market value of those impressions. And we said, comparing apples to apples, it's a really good deal. Let's go to a home improvement company, or this would be reminiscent of a lot of local businesses. This case study, it could be your law firm. It could be your, brick and mortar of any kind.
Yep.
And you're going, I hate the idea of advertising. I hate the idea of spending that money. I'm just going to post often. And is that going to move the needle?
Yep. And this company specifically is, just in our case study, is outsourcing, freelancing with a hired social media content creator.
Yes.
That's outside your doors. I'm going to pause real quick and caution you. We have a very strong belief that it's very hard to make quality, credible content from outside your doors. Somebody needs to be, if they are making quality content from outside, they have to be coming in and they need to be following you out. If you're home improvement, they're following you to jobs and getting really good content, or your team is sending them really good content. They're coming to the office.
Industry knowledge.
Yeah.
More importantly, they have a distinct knowledge of your customer.
It's really easy to sniff out canned content from far away through
Yes.
this. So we're going to assume that this is great content
Yes.
for the sake of this case study, but I just wanted to end of pause.
Yes.
Get back into it. Home improvement or professional service company, local company that is freelancing and
Yes.
they're posting a few times a week
Yes.
contractually.
And in their mind, they're going, gosh, I'm only paying $500 to this person, and I get to see likes and comments, and that feels like, man, that's really good stuff. Okay.
Yep.
And we're like, that is good stuff.
It is
There's
good.
nothing wrong with that.
In its own right.
In its own right, it's good and it's useful, certainly from a community and from a customer service standpoint.
Yes.
At any given rate. And by the way, we're not at all concluding in this episode one or the other. Okay.
No.
Both are good. It's just if you're going to try to replace one with the other, this is what you're going to consider.
Yeah.
So we pulled up kind of on their best month, like by paying, just say it was $500 to this person to do their media. By the way, this person's fairly good at it. Okay?
Yeah.
Nothing against this person. And we found they're usually reaching in a month's time by a consistent posting schedule, 714 people. That was the average.
Mm-hmm.
So they're paying, in effect, $500 to reach 714 people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is that good? Is that a good deal? Here's how that shakes out compared to like the last equation we used.
Yep.
714 impressions on a market value, like on a fair, like CPM of $10 that we said was a fair low average. That is worth $7.14. So on the reach numbers,
yes,
to get 714 impressions, let's hope you hope you're not paying any more than $7 for that.
Theoretically, with an ad or with ad content, you could pay $7.14 and get that today.
That amount of people reached.
Very, very quickly.
So if this company that was spending $500, like if they were putting that in an ad engine at $10 CPM, they would reach
50,000
people, right?
Yeah.
So dollar for dollar, it's really no comparison as to if your measurement is people reached.
Yeah.
And we're talking about media and what we invest in media and reaching people. That's really what we commoditize it down to.
Yep.
So, does that mean you should stop doing social media?
Not necessarily.
No. What you might use this as is to hold your social media person. You might use it to challenge them and say, hey, I'm going to pay you $500 because I believe that we should have content. I believe that, and you should believe this, by the way, it's a bad signal for any buyer to come across you and your last post to be like 6 months ago or even 6 weeks ago. Like there is a different use and a different function of social media that plays a part into the buyer journey. If they see you actively engaged, if they see pictures of your work, if they see testimonials, if they see you doing fun, cool things, that adds to that bond and that trust in you.
That's
However, you might say, hey, I'm paying you $500. If I gave that $500 to YouTube or $500 to, run an ad in some local magazine or whatever, I would reach at least 50,000 people. So what can you do, Mr. or Mrs. Social Media person, that would get me close to that 50,000 people? Because I would feel really good about this, and I'd be willing to pay you more if we can produce content that's remarkable.
Yeah. That's a big question to ask. I think in all of this, we're answering the question really as we were talking about tomorrow customers. So the goal of tomorrow customers is a large audience that we can reach daily or in some regular interval. And so when you look at it this way and that larger audience that we're trying to generate, to create, social media free, putting in air quotes, organic posting is not usually as effective to reach or efficient to reach all of those people. But it does have a very powerful use for yesterday customers, which is people who have already bought or engaged with you. Yeah. And you would want to create tribal bond and continued awareness so that they'll come back or refer their friends and family to you.
No doubt.
And that's really more so the purpose. I think what we get into a danger zone is when somebody's got social media person, in-house or not, off on the side, and they're like, that's going to get me new business. I would say very unlikely.
Unlikely to reach enough people to move a needle.
Yes.
In a way that you're going to go, holy cow, I'm going to keep doing that.
Especially as compared to running a radio campaign, a TV campaign, Facebook ads, Google ads, even.
If you're spending $5,000 a month, your company is being seen 500,000 times by the numbers we just used.
Mm-hmm.
And if you say 500,000 times this month and next month and next month and next month, do you think that after a while your business is going to grow? You have a better chance of earning customers when that's the case versus 500 to 1,000, right? So people seeing your ads. So, okay, conclusion. There ain't no such thing as a free lunch. You're gonna have to invest in it one way or another. You're gonna have to be remarkable, hire talent that is remarkable, or be remarkable yourself and invest your resources in your life. Or maybe you're that very, very rare person. And I would say congratulations to you if you are just naturally funny and good looking and all those things that makes people want to stop and pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
Second thing, you should do both free social media for the customer service and the community side of it, and paid advertising if you want to grow your business faster than it's growing now.
Yep.
Like those are both parts of the equation. Go back to your original questions. When in doubt with any media, how many people is this reaching? How much am I paying to reach them? And which one's better than the other in that form?
Yeah.
I think that's a good episode.
I think it's good.
If you like this episode, if you've been wondering this or talked about this topic with a friend or maybe another media expert, forward it to them. We would love to help other entrepreneurs eliminate waste in advertising, grow their business, and achieve the big dream. That's what we're all about here. Hit like and subscribe. And hey, our subscriber count's back on the rise.
Mm-hmm.
We got like 150 new followers in the last couple weeks.
Wow.
So thank you for whoever you are.
Yes, thank you.
We'll be back here every week answering your real life marketing questions, because marketers who can't teach you why
are just a fancy lie.
Have a great week.